Hi, Patrick. Are you there? I think you are. Maybe so. We're having some technical difficulties here. We're trying to get going, everyone. So if you're watching, please bear with us as we try to get Patrick and I communicating here. I think he's doing it through his phone. Patrick, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, excellent. I'm going to let you take it.
Are we ready to go?
Yeah.
Great. Hi, this is Pat Kerrigan with Organic Consumers Association. I'd like to introduce Sherry Duggar, who serves as the Executive Director of the Socially Responsible Agricultural Project, also known as SRAP. SRAP is a national nonprofit that empowers rural residents to protect their public health, environmental quality, natural resources, and local economies from the damaging impacts of factory farms. Sherry has served as Executive Director of both the Women Food and Agriculture Network and the Indiana Farmers Union. She served as Midwest Outreach Consultant for Earth Justice, a policy and communications consultant for American Grass-Fed Association as well. Sherry also co-chairs the National Coalition U.S. Farmers and Ranchers for a Green New Deal, which is made up of approximately 10,000 farmers and ranchers throughout the United States in support of a Green New Deal. She also reestablished the Midwest Sustainable Agriculture Working Group in early 2019. Sherry lives on a small farm in Morristown, Indiana, with her husband Randy, and their dogs, cats, donkeys, goats, alpacas, chickens, and honeybees. So today we're going to be talking with Sherry about the possibility of a Regenerate Indiana movement, about how the COVID-19 crisis is impacting Indiana farmers, and about the work that she sees coming up for SRAP in the near future. And just a reminder that we're doing this interview live, and we may be experiencing technical difficulties, slowed down internet speeds, interruptions, etc. So please bear with us. All right, Sherry, can you tell me a little bit about what you're seeing in Indiana in terms of the COVID-19 health crisis?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on today. It's definitely an interesting. Yes, it's definitely an interesting time here in Indiana, and the situation I think reflects much of what we're seeing and hearing about anecdotally around the country. Smaller, more diversified farmers, for the most part, are seeing an increase in business as eaters are becoming more aware of the inability of the industrial food system to feed local communities. So grocery store shelves have come up empty. We're seeing a scarcity of certain products, especially meat, dairy, and eggs. That's motivating eaters to find other more localized sources of food. So the farm my husband and I own is a drop-off point for 2 local food aggregators. And every week consumers order local food online. And on Thursdays, bags of local goods are delivered off, here at the farm for pickup. So we've seen those sales quadruple what they were. I'm also hearing from friends of mine like Greg Gunthorpe of Gunthorpe Farms. I think things were pretty scary for his family at the beginning of this. Gunthorpe Farms is a pasture-based rockstar farm here in Indiana. And the Gunthorpes and their crew were selling, I think, wholesale to restaurants and retailers throughout Chicago and Indianapolis. So when those restaurants shut down, the farm business also pretty much lost all of its business overnight. At one point, Greg said to me of his family farm, which supports, I think, something like 20 local families on 270 acres or so, that within the next 2 months, he was either going to go bankrupt or the farm would be better off than before the pandemic hit. They had to pivot their business really quickly. He bought some new equipment I know of in order to package the meats they raised differently, and they quickly built new relationships and set up an online store and new delivery systems, all within just a few weeks. These are processes that probably would have taken a year or so or more for them to be able to make all these changes with some good thought behind it. But they had to do it really quickly and pivot because of this health crisis. So they did that. And now when restaurants open back up, Gunthorpe Farms will stand as, I'm hoping, as an even more diversified business, selling not only to wholesale institutions, but also directly to the consumer. And I can only imagine, how painful a process that was for them, but I'm hopeful to see them come out on the other side of this stronger than ever. So what we're seeing here is that small, diverse, and flexible operations can come out ahead when a crisis hits.
All right, that's great to hear that that update, Sherry. Awesome work, thank you.
Yep.
And so, because of the current health crisis, you were talking about pivoting. This seems like a pivotal time for local and regional food systems across the country. And you're so involved with in so many efforts promoting regenerative agriculture. Thank you for all the work you do, Sherry. I just wanted to tell you what a superstar and hero you are for me.
Thank you.
Anyway, is there a possible Regenerate Indiana movement in the future?
Well, we're definitely seeing an increase in interest in regenerative agriculture systems, and I would be excited to spearhead an effort like that here in Indiana. I think it's going to be important as we move forward to clearly define what we mean by regenerative agriculture and to make sure that we're differentiating ourselves from corporations who are now also trying to use that phrase to describe their industrial scale systems. So, regenerative, as I know you know, Patrick, regenerative and organic agriculture should mean very specific things that speak to values and methods of production. As you mentioned, as for this being a very pivotal time for the food system, I think you're absolutely right. We're seeing the supersized failures of an industrial agriculture system. And at the same time, like I mentioned, we're witnessing huge successes of a small food movement. In case, viewers have missed it, there are millions of animals being killed and buried, meats being shipped to China, produce is left to rot in the fields, and human lives are literally being lost because plant workers are forced to go back to work in unsafe conditions. So, meanwhile, our grocery store shelves are bare in some cases, and foods are available only in limited supplies. So I've been, helping my friends at Farmers Footprint with a video docuseries to capture some of what's happening during this health crisis. And through our discussions, it became apparent to me that we should start talking about and clearly defining what small food means. We often refer to big food or big meat, big ag. Why aren't we talking about small food? And we need many small, diverse, regenerative farms feeding local communities. In this instance, I'm not really referring to, by the way, small as a size necessarily, but as a set of values and methods of operation. Small food is human-powered food. People are at the heart of a small food system. Small food is also humane food. So, small represents our working in close connection to one another and with the land and the animals. For a truly transparent food system built on trust and focused on health, we need close relationships and connectivity. And we need to steward and safeguard our land, our environment, people, animals, yes, and maybe most of all, we need to bring humanity back to our food system. So, in my view, and in the conversations that I've had, if the COVID-19 crisis has done nothing else, it's blown open this big secret that industrial agriculture has been hiding for so long, and that's that big ag absolutely lacks humanity within its system, and that lack of humanity has health impacts all throughout the food system. So from the farmer and the farm worker to the plant worker to the driver to the restaurant worker to the eater sitting in front of the plate. So, I would say let's clearly define what a small food system looks like, where we are close and accountable to one another, and one where we can quickly pivot, feed ourselves, and grow. I would like to talk about small food and coin that phrase sometime. I think about it. It's like, how do we get a storyline going that big ag can't co-opt? They can't operate in small, close, and connected ways.
I love that, Sherry. I was thinking the other day about how great it would be to build some bridges with the global slow food movement. We look at one of the main problems with the CAFO slaughterhouse model, how fast the line goes, making it so dangerous. The workers being so close to each other, which is why this COVID crisis, why we have slaughterhouse hotspots all across the country. And the antithesis of this fast, dangerous food is slow, healthy, small foods. And so anyway, along with all the great regenerative agriculture organizing work you're doing, you've been recently appointed as executive director of the Socially Responsible Agriculture Project. That so made my month when I heard that, Sherry. Congratulations. Can you tell me a little bit about the work that that SRAP is doing and what you hope to see for the organization's future?
Absolutely. So that I felt lucky to get to do the work that I've done in the food and agriculture system for a long time. We've talked about it many times, Pat, but I've never felt so blessed as I feel right now. So joining SRAP has opened my world up to so many more incredible folks that I didn't know were out there doing smart work on behalf of food and agriculture. And, from philanthropic heroes to the individual team members working with me here at SRAP. Our mission at SRAP, I think you mentioned a little bit of it, is to empower rural residents to protect their public health, environmental quality, natural resources, and local economies from the damaging impacts of family farms. So essentially, we help communities fight back, against industrial scale livestock operations coming into their areas. And we help them to organize, to educate themselves on things like air and water testing and permitting processes. And we also, help them in testifying at hearings, et cetera. So SRAP supports those who often have nowhere else to turn. And we have this incredible team of organizers who have been doing this work rather quietly and in the background for 3 decades. We have engineers and technical and organizing experts and farmers on our team who blow me away with how much they know about concentrated animal feeding operations. I came into this job already aware of the many negative impacts of CAFOs on local communities and on public health, but I truly had no idea how much I would learn from these boots on the ground champions. So right now I'm talking with a lot of people, a lot of our team members, SRAP's board members, ally organizations, and our funders about what they believe is the next best step for SRAP to expand its impact and grow. I've had dozens of conversations, and I'm excited about some of the ideas that I've been working through for the future of SRAP. One of our upcoming projects is building out a network, which we're calling the Socially Responsible Food and Farm Network. This first phase of the program will be to provide outreach and training specifically to farmers working on the front lines in their communities. Farmers are our best allies and our most trusted spokespersons to organize, educate, and advocate for healthy rural communities and socially responsible agriculture systems. So this program will offer them the needed expertise and tools to take back control of their lands and their communities. We're talking about things like transition programs for getting concentrated animal feeding operations out of those systems and into organizing. We'll be working with farmers who want to champion regenerative agriculture and local food, distilling the knowledge and experience from our team members into materials that they can use to build movements. So not only will we be helping fight CAFOs, but we'll also be helping communities build out, a better tomorrow, essentially.
Wonderful. Thank you for that work. I volunteered for several years with the Iowa Alliance for Responsible Agriculture, the steering committee. And one of my main goals was integrating the important anti-CAFO work for clean water, clean air, healthy rural economies with the regenerative movement, pointing out the problems and then offering the regenerative solution. And I got some fantastic regenerative farmers, Chris Peterson, being one of my favorites, and then several others. And so anyway, with getting back to SRAP, SRAP has a new really exciting partnership with Regeneration International on a letter writing campaign. Can you tell me a little bit more about that project?
Sure. Catherine Paul of Organic Consumers Association and Regeneration International reached out to me to talk through an idea she had for a letter writing campaign connected to the U.S. Farmers and Ranchers for Green New Deal Coalition. So COVID-19 has obviously laid bare so much of what's wrong with the U.S. industrial food and farming system, and independent family farmers' voices are needed more than ever so we can come out on the other side of this pandemic positioned to feed our communities. So Catherine envisioned hundreds of farmers and ranchers writing either to the media or to their state representative directly to help to tell them how the pandemic has affected their operations. So the idea was then we would collect the letters and push them out to the national press as well as to key members of Congress. I suggested to her that we offer a letter writing webinar to discuss some of the logistics of writing letters to the editor and to help farmers craft their very personalized stories in a way that would engage their readers, whoever they were going to be. So the webinar we're hosting is going to be on May 26th at 7 p.m. Eastern. All farmers are encouraged to join us and to participate in this campaign. There's a lot of policy being introduced right now in support of smaller, more localized food systems that put independent family farms, public health, and the environment first. Booker's Farm System Reform Act is one that comes to mind. The goals of these individual bills are completely aligned with many of the goals outlined in the Green New Deal. So we want to help amplify farmers' voices to tell their stories and to advocate on behalf of these policies. This letter writing webinar is really the kind of thing that we're going to be offering through our farm and food and farm networks as well. It aligns perfectly with SRAP's future programming, which is why I was super excited to do it with Catherine. So I would just say, I guess anyone interested in that webinar or learning more about it, they can email me at sherryd@srap or SRAproject.org.
Fantastic. And then let's see, that was pretty much, that's a great overview of the work you're doing, Sherry. I just wanted to thank you again for your leadership in building regenerative agriculture and supporting regenerative agriculture policies in Indiana and across the country. And so excited that you're heading up these exciting projects that SRAP is working on. So I know a lot of busy people, and you're probably the most busy person I know. So we want to be respectful of your time, but just really want to deeply and gratefully thank you, Sherry, for your time to spend with us and for the great work you and your husband, Randy, are doing.
Absolutely.
Thanks a million.
Absolutely. Hey, Patrick, I do want to talk about one more thing. I have time to talk about one more thing if you want. Do you want to talk about the big meat?
Yes, yeah, let's dive into that.
Okay, so that's another thing that I think SRAP is going to support from Regeneration International. Mike Carberry, who's working for you all as a campaign director, I'm not sure what his title is, but you all are building out this big meat boycott. And we've had several conversations, obviously, with SRAP and Organic Consumers Association and Regeneration International on how to partner, together and support movement throughout toward more regenerative systems of agriculture. So because of what we've seen lately, like I said, the complete failure of industrial agriculture, we really feel it's important to gather momentum with eaters to boycott industrial scale products and encourage and push for policies that incentivize contract growers to make a just transition out of that industrial system and into a more regenerative small food system. So I think there's going to be a boycott. You might actually know more of the details than I do. I know that we want to continue to push for policy that supports, 100% grass-fed operations, like those that are certified by organizations like American Grass-Fed Association. And I think it's time to re-envision our food system. It's important, to note we're not suggesting that people quit eating meat. We're just talking about a boycott of industrial raised meat, dairy, and eggs. And as a friend of mine, Mike Calicrate, I don't know if you know him or not, he's a wonderful advocate. He once said, if people could taste the harm that these industrial operations bring to communities, to the environment, and to animals, and to public health, they would never eat this food. So I think it's really a time, right now is a perfect time for us to start telling these stories and to get people moving in a direction that supports a food system that supports us.
Amen. The time sure is right now. And one of the things we're doing along with calling out the biggest 80 or so companies selling the CAFO meat from these slaughterhouses, risking the lives of not only their employees, but the communities that the employees live in. We're going to be letting people know to boycott those foods and to boycott the regenerative, locally and regionally produced and processed meats and dairy products, so that we need to not only call out the bad actors, but offer the regenerative solution and where folks can find those products. I'm really excited about a June 4th launch that Mike Carberry is coordinating. We're going to be having Radiance organic dairy producer and regenerative and organic leader Francis Tickey on that. John Eichard, if folks don't know him, please check his website out. One of the foremost thinkers on both regenerative agriculture and all the health and environmental problems related with CAFO, concentrated animal feeding operation production. And so we're really excited to get this campaign moving, and just thrilled, Sherry, to be working with you and the other SRAP members turning this into a powerful national movement and support, so that consumers can support the producers that really share their health values, support those producers that are caring about the health of their livestock, of building their soil health, biodiversity, the health of the customers that are eating the livestock products, and more nutrient dense foods also. And so this is a win-win for farmers, consumers, the environment, and for livestock. And just super excited about where we're at, and encourage listeners want to get involved. How do they connect with you again, Sherry?
Yeah, so they can find me at sraproject.org, but also, I mean, on Facebook, through Twitter, through social media, Instagram, and my email address is SHERRID@SAR. I do that wrong. SRAproject.org. And also, we should mention the Right to Harm screenings that are online right now for free,
yes,
that you all are hosting, so that people can view the Right to Harm documentary about, you know, the impact of industrial agriculture on local communities, and then view that panel discussion that happens later on. So do you have any of the details of the right to harm screenings?
Corey, do you have those? I don't have those right now on my phone.
Okay.
But I know that Right to Harm has been screened all across Iowa. The Iowa Alliance for Responsible Agriculture, Jefferson County Farmers and Neighbors, and other groups part of the IRA Alliance have shown this all over Iowa. I'm really excited to be moving this screening throughout the Midwest, and then also nationally. Corey, is that? I think
it's on your Facebook page.
Facebook
Organic Consumers Association page has the event listed, I think, on
yes.
And actually, if somebody wants to reach out to me, I can get the information too. I have it somewhere. I've seen the film several times now, so. But it's great. And it actually, you know, a lot of the people that are in that film are working for SRAP, and they are our boots on the ground champions doing this work, helping communities fight against this industrial system. So I'm really proud of that video. I had nothing to do with it, but it's a great documentary, and it shows exactly what SRAP stands for. And I think it's a wonderful, way to get educated about these issues.
And it's such a great tool too in getting it out to allied nonprofits in the food, agriculture, and environmental movement, so that it's such an informative and well done piece, and a huge contribution to our movement. And I think Mike's going to be having the producer join in on this June 4th event.
Yeah.
And so, I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
I just said that's great.
Yes. Yeah. It will be.
Well, I appreciate you having me on today. Thank you so much for giving me a mic, so to speak.
Yes, Sherry, anything I can do to help amplify your voice, I'm thrilled to participate. And
it's always fun.
Yes. And thanks again. And please thank Randy for the great lobbying and educational work he's doing as well. He's a hero of mine.
He's my hero. All right. I will talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.